Once you ask the right way, that's when Allah sends everything. In this video, you're about to learn something that you've never really learned before. You ever see someone who can make one dua and then their entire life changes? They don't usually shout, they don't make the dua 50 times, but then somehow, even when they just say one word or they say no word, things automatically starts happening. I mean, actually, if you look at it, Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, he was known to be someone that would just raise his hands and then rain would start coming down, illnesses, they vanish, problems, they get solved instantly. Rabi'a al-Basri, she was known that when she makes dua for the sick, they would get healing very quick. And then Imam al-Haddad, who was another scholar, spiritual scholar, he was also known for having his dua instantly accepted. Now, I'm showing you these people because these people, they weren't prophets. These people didn't have like special lineages and they weren't Sahaba as well. But the Quran promises, he says, call upon me and I will respond to you. So now how did these human beings, they made dua and then things automatically started happening? And then why is it sometimes you make dua and then things never happen? You feel nothing. Well, what if I told you, Habibi, is that the problem isn't that Allah is not responding to your dua? What if that you've never actually asked and made the dua in the first place? Once you said the dua, yeah, like you raised your hands and all that, but your heart never truly bent. Your soul, it never even entered the conversation. So you already know this, Habibi. I've been talking about this in all my videos. You're not a body with a soul. You're a soul with a body. But the issue is that no one teaches this. There's a way to ask that doesn't come from fear. It doesn't come from panic. It doesn't come from the mentality that I have to keep begging and begging until Allah finally responds to my dua. There's a way that you ask that comes from alignment. It comes from trust and emptiness. And then when you ask like that, the same way I'll be teaching you right now, creation literally starts to rearrange itself. And yes, I'm literally saying creation starts rearranging itself. Reality starts bending. Time folds. Now you might think I'm saying statements of shirk, but keep watching, Habibi. This is when Allah responds in ways that you can never ever imagine. Look at Maryam alayhi salam. She made dua with silence under the pain when she was giving birth. What happened as a result? The tree bent and the tree gave her rizq. Look at Musa alayhi salam. He asked while in surrender to Allah, while almost being killed. And what happened as a result? The sea opened. The sea opened, bro. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asked in trust while he was being thrown in the fire. And what really happened? The fire itself forgot how to burn. These human beings, they made dua in such a way where creation itself started obeying. It started rearranging itself. Physics started bending. So what did they all have in common? They didn't really ask with words. You can go back to the ayats. They weren't really asking with words. They asked with presence, with disappearance, with full surrender. And this is what no one tells you. It's not about the words that you're saying. It's about the state that you're in. And this is, I've seen the comments, bro. People comment on my videos, they're like, nah, but bro, you should be begging in when you're making your dua. Because look at Musa. Musa was begging and then Allah opened the sea. But you go back to the ayat. What does the ayat truly say? Did Musa really start begging Allah? The only thing that he says, Kalla inna ma'ya rabbi sayahdeen. No, indeed, with me is my Lord, He will guide me. Does this really sound like begging to you? Does this sound like he's making a dua from a state of lack and scarcity? No, this is a dua made from a state of sincerity, a state of tawakkul, full conviction, and full certainty, and complete surrender. So understand that when your heart bends the right way, Allah doesn't just hear you, Allah moves the entire universe just for you. And when that happens, nothing, bro, nothing, and I literally mean nothing, in your life will ever stay the same. This is a very beautiful video, so I'm hoping that you also see the beauty within this video. So now here's the crazy part that no one really tells you. You're not the one that started the conversation when you started making dua. So you think dua begins when you start raising your hands or when you start wanting something, but that's not true. The moment that you felt the pain, the moment that you felt something in your chest, and the moment that your soul whispered, Ya Rabb, even when your tongue said nothing in that point, you were already being pulled. You were being pulled by Allah to Allah. So you didn't call out first. Allah is the one that called you. The desire to ask, it was placed in you by Him. That's why Umar ibn Khattab, he was like, He's like, I'm not really worried about whether my dua gets accepted or not. I'm only worried about whether I will make a dua. Because the fact that I make a dua, it just shows that Allah has already accepted it, because I wouldn't have made it if He didn't call me to make it. So the pain that you're carrying right now, this is not random. This is permission, and that is the invitation that Allah is giving you. And that's why Ibn Ata'Allah, he says, the fact that Allah allowed you to ask is already a sign He wants to give. So that's the first thing that you should have as a mentality shift within your mind. So just the fact that your heart is restless right now, that you even feel pulled to make a dua, it means the door is already open. You were heard before you even spoke. You were heard before you even raised your hands, Habibi. And Allah says, and when my servant asks you about me, I am near. I respond to the call of the caller when he calls me. Allah doesn't say, tell them it's not time for it. Allah doesn't say, tell them to wait and be patient. No, Allah says, I am near. Near. And the ayah doesn't even start with a command. This ayah is so beautiful. This ayah starts with intimacy to show you that you and Allah are very, very near. Because the moment that your soul bends, even if no sound comes out of your mouth, the response is already in motion. So let's just get one thing straight. Allah has always been listening. Don't be thinking that Allah is not listening. Allah has always been listening. You just have to show up with the part of you that's real. And what I mean by that is that I'm not talking about the voice that you're hearing when it constantly overthinks. You know that voice in your head where it's like, what if Allah's not going to accept my dua? What if this is physically impossible? What if there's not enough time for this? What if the how is really impossible? I'm not talking about that part of yourself coming and meeting Allah. I'm talking about the part of yourself that's the one that's aware of the one that's overthinking. The one that's aware of the one that's being confused. The one that's feeling the pain. There's someone within you right now. It's almost like you're living two lives, by the way. There's someone within you right now that's feeling the pain, but then there's someone who's independent from the pain, and he's watching the one going through the pain. And that's someone. That voice in your head, when you identify with that voice, that's when you start feeling Allah being so near to you. And that is the voice that Allah responds to. Now you're going to be asking me, it's like, but I can't hear that voice. I don't even know how to make that voice. I don't even know what even that voice that you're talking about. Keep watching. So now this is the part where most people get stuck. They think that if they just say the right words in Arabic at the right time, at the right tajweed, and at the right number of repetition, then maybe, just maybe, Allah is going to start accepting it. But you already know this by now. It's not about the words. It's about the state that you're in when you say the words. So you could be saying like things like, Ya Allah, give me money, give me $1,000. 1,000,000,000 times you could say that. But then you'll still be blocked because your tongue is moving, you're saying words, but the heart is locked. But then someone else, they might just say one word or no word at all, and reality shifts for them instantly. Like remember Abdul Qadir Jilani? It's so beautiful because I would hear stories of his own students. I don't even know if he had a job or not, but his own students, they would be gifting him so many things that he didn't even need to have anything. He didn't even need to have a business, didn't need to have a job. It's just, everything was just around him. And you look at the life of Muhammad ﷺ, the Prophet himself. The Prophet had everything around him. Everything. He would just snap a finger and things would be happening. That's the power that they had. And this power came because of their states. This power came because of the emptiness that they have in their hearts. So why is it that someone would be just saying something or saying nothing at all and things happening? Well, it's not because they're speaking. It's because they're feeling. It's because they're aligned, and it's because they're completely surrendered. And that is what the real dua is. It's when your soul is so empty. It's so empty of ego and is so full of trust that your very breath becomes a prayer. That's a very beautiful state to be in. But in order for you to be in the state, you have to empty yourself. And this is when you start asking, knowing the giver is already pouring before you even finish asking. And that's the state. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, he says, call upon Allah while being certain of the response. But now tell me, can you really be certain of the response? Can you really be certain that Allah is going to respond when your ego, when your heart is just full of doubts, full of anxiety, full of fear? So that means if you're saying dua and deep down your energy is saying, I don't think this is really going to work, then your body and soul, they're speaking two different languages. So one of them has to be empty. And trust me, Habibi, Allah listens to your state before He even listens to your sentence. So what does this really mean practically? It means before you ask for anything, ask yourself, Are you asking from fear or are you asking from trust? Are you asking from panic or presence? Are you begging from scarcity or are you ready to open up to abundance? Because if you're begging, if your state is begging, begging is what pushes what you want further away. But presence is what pulls it into your orbit. So I'm not talking, this isn't like manipulation here. Don't be thinking that, oh, but now I feel like I'm manipulating the inner world. No, bro, this is alignment right here. And that's what Allah wants from you. Allah doesn't want formulas. Allah doesn't want you to say something like a certain number of times and things start happening. That's not what it is. Allah wants presence from you. So next time you raise your hands, don't focus so much on what you're saying and focus on who is saying it. What is your state? Because when your heart is in the right state, the words, they don't even matter, bro. They really don't matter. Because Allah already knows what you want. Now, let's be real, to be honest. You're not going to get what you're asking for if you're still full of yourself while you're asking for the dua. And this is why so many du'as, they feel heavy. Because you're not empty. This is why you'll be making so much dua, but nothing's really happening. And you'll be wondering, it's like, why is Allah not responding to my dua? But here's the truth, Habibi. If the cup is already full, it can't be filled. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean by emptying yourself. The prophets used to live in emptiness. No ego. These beautiful spiritual people, they would live with emptiness, no ego. And that's why they would make a dua, one word or no word. And things would just start happening. So your ego, that's the thing that's filling the cup. And that's why when you come to Allah with pride, with entitlement, or with even tightness, by the way, it's not just about pride. It's about pride and everything else that's lower than that. Pride, anger, jealousy, entitlement, guilt, shame, all these emotions. When you're coming with these emotions and you're making dua, you're bringing a closed container to the ocean of mercy. Because Allah doesn't pour into a locked heart. But now let's look at the ones whose du'as, it broke reality. So if you look at Maryam alayhi salam, what was she when the date tree bent for her? She was alone, she was in pain, and she was in complete surrender. You look at Musa alayhi salam when the sea split for him. He was cornered, he was hunted, he was empty of control, but he was full of trust, as we see from his words. You look at Ibrahim alayhi salam, what was he when the fire was like forgot how to burn? Well, he was stripped of everything. He had nothing. Not a single thing in his heart. No plan, just surrender. And you know the dua that he says, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is enough for me. And what a beautiful being to have this enough for him. So they were just empty. They had nothing in their hearts. And because they were empty, Allah filled them. Because they had nothing left. Allah gave them everything. This right here, this statements right here, let this sink into your heart right now. I could literally just make you look at this statement for the longest time right now until it becomes your reality. They were empty. And because they were empty, Allah filled them. Imagine going to Allah and you're so full of these emotions and you're making a dua. From that point on, you're making a dua from the ego. The ego has no power, by the way. This mind that you have has no power, bro. And then when you're making dua from that state, you're making dua from a place that's powerless, from a place that's limited, from a place that can't do anything. But then when you empty yourself, here's what's going to happen. So you're not going to enter the fire of life and expect it to be cool unless you enter it the way Ibrahim did. You don't have a backup plan. You're just there with complete surrender. And the truth is, some of the most powerful du'as happen after you've let go. After you're like, Ya Allah, if it's not you, who's like, I have no one. That's the kind of du'a that literally shakes the heaven. Why is that? Because when the ego dies, the soul becomes clear. And a clear soul is a mirror of the divine. It's a mirror for the divine. And that's why Ibn Arabi, he once said, he was like, when the servant is empty of himself, only then is he ready to be filled with the will of Allah. And that's the whole thing. Whose will is better? Your will or the will of Allah? I'm pretty sure, obviously you're going to say Allah's will, right? But the deeper question is that, well, how do you align yourself with Allah's will? Well, what's the thing that's constantly within your heart? That's the question. That's what you have to start being aware of. And present of. What's the thing that's always in your heart? If you're always having low-level emotions, once again, guilt, shame, fear, anxiety, anger, jealousy, depression, pride, entitlement, any of these low-level emotions, if you're having that in your heart, then understand, you're operating from ego level. You're living life from the ego. And that's why everything feels small. You don't believe in miracles at this point. But then when you empty yourself, miracles become normal. And by the way, miracles are normal, but not normal to the ego. So now if you're going to be commenting saying things like miracles are not normal and that's why they're miracles and blah blah blah, well, that's because you're living from the ego. But then when you go past the ego, when you surrender yourself and you become empty, like you'll experience it, you'll witness it, and then that's when you'll know miracles are truly normal. So this is it right here, man. The fire only cools for the empty. That's why it cools, because it's empty. There's nothing to burn. So if you feel like your du'as, they haven't really worked, maybe it's not that your du'a is wrong. Maybe it's not that you're saying the wrong things. Maybe you're just way too full. You're too full of fear, too full of control and expectation. So now try something different. I literally invite you to try something different. If nothing's worked for you right now, at least try this. Come back to Allah empty. Even if you're broken, it's okay. Even if you don't even know what to say, it's okay. But come back empty and come back to truth. Come back with surrender and just watch what's going to start happening. So now, this is the part I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have been waiting for. How do you become empty so that you truly receive whatever you want? And I'm hoping that this is really, really going to blow your mind. So let's just break this down. Being empty is not just something I'm saying because it sounds very nice to the viewers and blah, blah, blah. No, this is something real and this is something practical. And you can get there, inshallah, after the end of this video. So how do you truly become empty? Well, first of all, before you even ask, pause before you ask. Before you make any dua, don't rush into words. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just feel what's happening in your chest. Not your thoughts, I'm saying your chest. Because when you look at your chest, it's already a mirror of what's really going on in your mind. And then Allah says that Allah talks a lot about the sudur, the chest, and what's within the chest. So now look at what's within the chest and what's around. When you look at what's within the chest, by the way, you're looking at what's around the heart. So is your chest tight? Do you feel anxiety within the chest? Are you holding on to control? Are you still thinking that you have to be figuring everything out? Like you want to control everything? And then try to let go of everything in the chest. Because emptiness, it first starts with stillness. And listen, you might think this has no power, by the way, just so you know. You might think that if you're sitting down and then you close your eyes and then you breathe, you might think it has no power, but you never tried it. I'm inviting you to try it. Place all your awareness in the chest and try to be aware of what's happening within and try to just let go. Let go. And then when you let go, you'll notice that the rest of the body is going to start relaxing. You'll notice that your belly is going to relax. Your brows, your face is going to relax. Your shoulders are finally going to relax. You'll almost you'll almost go down, bro. But that's the key. Relax everything in your body. And that's what happens when you have full awareness of what's happening within your chest. This is what you call inshirah as-sadr. And you know the whole surah. Inshirah as-sadr. Now secondly, name what you're carrying. You can use a pen and paper and all that, or you can just say it to yourself. When you're looking at your chest, what are you really holding on to? Do you have such thoughts that say, I'm scared that Allah won't respond? Do you have thoughts that say, I feel like I have to beg to get my dua accepted? Do you have thoughts that say, I'm afraid of the outcome? And then say it. Literally name it. That's what I have inside my chest right now. What you're doing is that you're bringing this into the light. Because your subconscious is all here. It's all in the body. That's why they say the body keeps the score. And then when you place your awareness deep in, you're almost you're basically bringing the light of the awareness that's already within you. And now whatever that's within darkness, when the light comes, is going to start coming out. So then say, Ya Allah, I don't want to carry this anymore. I give it to you. And that's how you slowly, slowly empty yourself. Once again, don't be going now and writing in the comments being like, can you please teach me how do I empty myself? Because you already know how. Me saying this stuff to you, it sounds too simple. It sounds like it's easy. It sounds like it's useless. But who's talking? That's the ego talking. So what you're thinking right now is part of these thoughts that are right here. I'm scared he won't respond. I feel like I'm basically a fool doing this. I feel like this doesn't even work. I feel like I have to beg. I'm afraid of the outcome, blah, blah, blah. All these thoughts. These thoughts are all coming from the ego, bro. They're not coming from the real you. So if you're hearing these thoughts, be aware of them. That's all you do. You just become aware of them. And as a result, you're bringing them into the light. 3 is stop asking for the outcome. Stop asking for your dua. If you're trying to get married, stop asking to get married. If you're trying to have a bunch of money, stop asking for a bunch of money and instead ask for Allah Himself. And this is where everything changes. So instead of saying, Ya Allah, give me this, fix that, remove this. Say, Ya Allah, be enough for me. Ya Allah, give me you. Because once you ask for the giver, everything the gift was trying to give you, it's all going to start coming to you anyway. That's the whole secret right here, bro. When you go to the giver, whatever the gift was trying to give you, it's all going to come to you anyway. So you think you wanted the money, but in reality, you just wanted safety. And Allah has all the safety in the world. There is nothing safer than just being with Allah. You think you want the relationship, but you really just wanted the love. Allah has all the love in the world. So ask for the source. And then everything downstream is going to start flowing to you naturally. And listen, I'm telling you this with my own words right now. I used to not believe in this. I used to believe that, no, but what if I go to Allah and then all of a sudden He makes me broke because He's testing me? There's something in my mouth. Because He's testing me and trying to make me stronger. That comes under these thoughts right here. All of it is false. And when your mind, when your heart, when your thoughts are going through this, once again, you just become aware of them and understand that's not from you, bro. That's not from you. This is falsehood right there. So it's not even true. So this is why Rabi'a, she once said, she was like, oh Allah, if I worship you for paradise, deny me paradise. But if I worship you for you, don't hide your face from me. That's emptiness. And that's how she used to get all of her du'as accepted, because she was empty the whole time. And then 4, fall into sajda without words. Sometimes you don't really even need to speak. You just gotta prostrate. Let your head touch the earth and say nothing. Just feel. Feel how little you are and how vast Allah is. Let your body say what your tongue can't even put into words. And this is the dua that no one hears, but the one who matters already knows. Allah can already hear you. And at this point you walk away from that sujood lighter because something got emptied inside you. And now you can receive whatever you want. Now think of it like you went to the ocean with a bucket, but this bucket was full of just, I don't know what to say, like just full of crap, okay? This bucket was full of crap. You've taken this bucket, you've emptied it, and then you went back to the ocean. Now when you put the water, not only is it going to clean whatever that was left, but now you'll be full with something else, something more useful. Now you walk into the world with such energy, that's truly when you'll feel like kun fayakun becomes a reality. And this is so beautiful, bro. That's when you see that hadith, when I love my servant and he comes closer to me, I become the eyes in which he hears, in which he sees, the ears in which he hears with, and the hands in which he touches things with, and the feet in which he strikes the earth with. And then from that point on, whatever he wants, I say kun fayakun. It's a very beautiful hadith. Extremely, extremely beautiful, but in order for you to do it, you have to empty yourself first. Empty yourself. So you want the ocean to pour into you, break the cup, shatter the cup, start showing up with nothing. Because when you come with nothing, you will leave with everything. And that is how, when you ask the right way, Allah sends everything. Everything. If you have Allah, what more do you want? If you have the power of kun fayakun, what more do you want? This is the ultimate state to be in. And that's how all these beautiful people right here, that's how they were able to just make a dua and things start happening. And Allah was trying to show you in the Quran through all these prophets right here. And understand, when Allah says right here, call upon me and I will respond to you, that means it's a divine law that whenever you call upon Allah, things happen. Allah is always responding. So the entire time right now, when you were saying the words and you're calling upon Allah, you're calling upon Allah from a bucket that's filled with, once again, it's filled with crap. Excuse my language, but literally. And so as a result, what do you get? You get more crap. But now when you clean your bucket, when you empty it, and then you clean it, and then you ask from that state, what are you going to be getting? Abundance, ultimate love, safety, just pure abundance, bro. I mean, like, there's no words to say it. No words to say it. And this is very beautiful. So again, if this video was helpful for you, let me know.